Good afternoon and welcome to the news broadcast that highlights the news making waves ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the headlines. Government urged to address plight of Angolan child laborers. Ongwediva, Oshakati and Ondangwa cancel candlelight vigil in honor of late President Hage Geingob, and Zimbabwe abolishes inherited colonial death penalty. I am Glenora Shipura and this is NMH at 1.
Hi Sonia.
Hi Tufeni. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act. In this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
Let's take a look at our midday news update. Residents of Ongwediva, Oshakati and Ondangwa were left heartbroken after they could not hold the candlelight vigil in honor of the late President Hage Geingob, which were scheduled to take place on Wednesday evening in all three towns. This comes after a communique from the Oshana Regional Governor Elia Irimari, who said the communication to halt all events came through the Information Ministry on communication of state funeral protocols. Irimari also called for an urgent meeting at his office this morning for a full briefing on the matter. After the break, we'll be getting into our visual news segment. To stay with NMH at 1.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Getting into our visual news, as Namibia continues to remember and pay homage to the late President Dr. Hage Geingob, who was loved by the nation and the people he worked closely with in his capacity as president, Dinalaw Heita Ndinyoga, a trade promotion officer in the Ministry of Industrialization, recalls her relationship with the late statesman, whom she referred to as family because her brother shared the name Gottfried with the late president. Let's take a look.
The other thing I need to highlight about Dr. Hage, who was so close, one of my young brother is Gottfried, and I used to call him my little brother. And because I grew up in Cuba, he doesn't call me by my name. He named me like Cubana. Whatever he calls, he said Cubana. And sometimes, you know, he was so kind, he would end up saying, Cubana, give me some, you know, some vibe. Give me some vibe. We used to travel with him because I'm part of the exhibition to different countries, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Cuba, Dubai, you name them. Because we'll be given that privilege to go and prepare as an advance team.
In our next video, Tourism Director Sebulon Chikalu earlier today highlighted opportunities for cultural services in the tourism sector during the launch of the Tourism Satellite Account 2022. Elaine Smith was there.
They spend 2.1 billion on the category of food and beverage services. And the least spending was on cultural services. Well, that's already an opportunity for Namibia to really pick up the cultural services aspect, which is meaning let's introduce cultural products into the tourism economy or into the national economy, and then let's market them. Because that part of the industry under tourism was the least that contributed to what we're giving you now, which is 12.8 million. And the same day visitors spend most of their expenditure on other consumptions, which we recorded 1.4 billion. And then the category of other consumptions, which included gifts and other things, clothes, medical expenses, and others, and all the.
We'll have a look at the local daily newspapers on the other side of this.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Getting into our newspaper review, starting off with the Namibian Sun's front page. Hundreds of children who have snuck into Namibia from southern Angola say the hunger in their native country forced them to seek a better life here. In Windhoek, the children can be seen daily at traffic intersections and several busy areas, selling wooden crafts to motorists and members of the public in order to make a living. They have no identification, paperwork, no food, and many have to endure the scorching sun and at times rainy weather barefooted. An adult vendor who, along with her children, flogs her wares along Abraham Mashego Street in Katutura told Namibian Sun that she entered the country after sneaking past immigration controls along the northern border. Hunger in their native Okaluheke village in southern Angola was the main motivation behind their trek, she said. Moving on to the Namibian Sun's page 3, aggrieved security guards employed by CIS Security Services in Rundu have once again expressed their frustration as their battle for unpaid salaries has continued for over 2 years with no end in sight. Despite efforts to bring attention to the issue, the guards find themselves trapped in a seemingly endless cycle of financial hardship. Many of them now struggle to make ends meet, facing the harsh consequences of prolonged unpaid wages, which they claim amount to a total of more than 400,000 Namibian dollars. Last year, a group staged a protest led by the Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters after the company allegedly failed to pay them for 3 months. Moving over to the Republicans' front page, a former senior superintendent who worked at the Namibian Correctional Services has been unemployed since July 2021, despite a court order ordering the relevant authorities to re-employ him. Judge George Coleman issued the court order on the 16th of November 2023, in which the Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security, Dr. Albert Kawana, as well as the Commissioner General of the NCS, Rafael Hamunyela, are ordered to compensate Albert Jas for his loss of income since his dismissal until the day of his reappointment. Moving over to the Republicans, page 3, National Youth Council Executive Chairperson Sharonik Bush has described late President Hage Geingob as a champion for the youth, saying his efforts helped shape some of Namibia's youthful leaders. Bush, who served as an assistant in the office of the president during Geingob's first term, said he had an eye for spotting talent and nurturing it. Geingob was a champion for young people. He believed in our potential. He knew how to identify talent and nurture that talent while meaningfully giving us a seat at the table to ensure in the process of nation building that we also become a part of the solution, she said. Moving over to the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page, a court ruling on the reinstatement of a high-ranking prison officer with his former rank and back pay from his suspension is apparently being disregarded by the Namibian Prison Service. That is what Allgemeine Zeitung states. Justice George Coleman issued the court order on November 16, 2023, directing the Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration and Security, Dr. Albert Kawana, and the Commissioner General of the NSCS, Rafael Hamuniela, to compensate Inspector Albert Jazz for his loss of income since his dismissal and up to the date of his reinstatement. Jazz confirmed to sister newspaper Republican yesterday that he had not yet been reinstated and had not received back pay. On page 2 of the Allgemeine Zeitung, also it reports on security guards working for CIS security services in Rundu, which have only been receiving their pay irregularly for months. Now, despite years of efforts to raise awareness of the problem, the guards find themselves trapped in an endless cycle of financial hardship, with many now struggling to make ends meet. After the break, we continue with our newspaper review.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Still with our newspaper review, the Namibian front page reports SWAPO Party Deputy Secretary General Uhekwa Herunga said the former cabinet minister Jerry Ekanjo did not make all the calculations before saying that the position of SWAPO president at the upcoming extraordinary Congress should be reserved for men. Ekanjo this week said he believes that the position of SWAPO president at the upcoming Congress should be reserved for men in order to achieve gender balance. A Windhoek resident who spent more than 10 years in jail before he was found not guilty in a repeatedly delayed robbery trial has suffered a defeat in a lawsuit in which he sued the prosecutor general for more than 11 million Namibian dollars. Petrus Shove Leka's prolonged detention was not arbitrary but was in accordance with contempt of court orders, the constitution and procedures established by law, Judge Herman Oosthuizen concluded in his judgment on Shove Leka's claim against the prosecutor general at the end of last week. Minister of Health and Social Services Dr. Kalumbi Shangula has said the late President Dr. Hage Geingob will go down in history as a COVID-19 champion whose country's containment and response to the pandemic stood out in the region and beyond. This is according to New Era, which further reports that Shangula has praised Geingob for his hands-on approach and taking ownership of the situation towards keeping the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic under control. Moving over to page 3, the late President Hage Geingob's lawyer, Sisana Manje, has said Geingob drove a historically aggressive legislative agenda that brought about massive socio-economic changes. Paying tribute during an evening devotion in honor of the late Geingob on Tuesday, Namanje said it is often forgotten that Geingob, without wavering, ensured that the institution and policies of apartheid were dismantled from the date of Namibia's independence. Moving over to market-wide, the diamond industry faces a burgeoning challenge with the rise of synthetic diamonds, a concern amplified by the fact that Namibia's diamond exports accounted for 22% and 24% of its export bill in 2022 and 2023 respectively. Commenting the latest trade data by the Namibia Statistics Agency, IJG Securities pointed out that diamonds were the country's top exported product last year, generating about $25.1 billion in foreign earnings. After the break, we get into our economic news. Namibia is taking part in the 30th African Mining Indaba in Cape Town, South Africa, which ends today. According to Mines and Energy Minister Tom Alwindo, the opportunity offers Namibia a chance to highlight the country's potential and to share best practices with other mining countries in the region and globally. Mineral resources in Namibia include diamonds, gold, copper, zinc, uranium, rare earth metals, and many more yet to be discovered. Some of these resources are particularly important for renewable energy equipment, according to the ministry, which insists that together with a favorable policy environment, this makes Namibia a favorite choice for mining investment. We now take a look at our financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.85, against the euro at 20.38, against the US dollar at 18.92. 2 Namibian dollars and 62 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the Namibia Stock Exchange, Namibia breweries went up, along with Capricorn Investment at 0.60% and also MTC at 0.10%. Oral index closed at 1.38%, going down, while the local index went up at 0.80%. On the commodities market, gold, copper, and Brent crude oil went up, while platinum went down. Brent crude oil trading at 0.23%, going for $79 and 78 cents per barrel. After this short break, we get into our news from Africa. Zimbabwe's cabinet on Tuesday agreed to abolish the death penalty following months of debate in parliament, choosing instead to impose lengthy prison sentences for the worst offenses. The cabinet passed a private member's bill introduced last year in the National Assembly to abolish the death penalty inherited from British colonial rule. In view of the need to retain the deterrent element in sentencing murderers, it is expected that the new law will impose lengthy sentences without violating the right to life. The cabinet said in a statement, the existence of aggravating circumstances may attract life sentences. Zimbabwe carried out its last execution in 2005. President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who was once put on the death row during the struggle for independence against British rule, has been pushing to end the death penalty. After this short break, we get into our international news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting into our international news, Pakistan temporarily suspended mobile phone services across the country and closed some land borders to maintain law and order as voting began in a national election that has been preceded by a surge in militant violence. In the most recent such incidents, 26 people were killed in 2 explosions near electoral candidates' offices in the southwestern province of Balochistan on Wednesday. Islamic State later claimed responsibility. The election is also being held in the midst of a deep economic crisis and in a highly polarized political environment. And many analysts believe no clear winner may emerge. Now, thousands of troops have been deployed at polling stations across the country, and borders with Iran and Afghanistan were temporarily closed to facilitate a peaceful election. As a result of the recent incidents of terrorism in the country, precious lives have been lost. Security measures are essential to maintain the law and order situation and deal with possible threats. the Interior Ministry said in a message on X. News from the world of sports follows after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Getting into the world of sports, starting off with our local sports news. Orlando Pirates and Commerce Nampo FC are set to battle today at 7 p.m. as the Debmarine Namibia Premier League resumes at the Independence Stadium in Windhoek. The games resume today after they were called off on Sunday following the passing of President Hage Geingob. Orlando Pirates coach Woody Jacobs is pleading with the supporters to come in their numbers. After this short break, we'll be right back.
Hi Sonia.
Hi Turfini. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act. In this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
We continue with our local sports news. Athletics Namibia's National Cross Country Championship was successfully held at Enana in the Ongwediva region this past Saturday. Sarah Shikongo from the Oshana region, who won the junior women's division, was one of the favorites, is the talented long winder. Last year, she was crowned Namibia's women champion in the 1,500 meters with 4 minutes 41 seconds on the stopwatch. Shikongo also regularly competes in the 800 race. Now in our next story, Fighters Football Club has announced the appointment of George Uhrup as interim coach. The former Citizens FC coach is tasked with saving the club's season after they find themselves in the relegation zone of the Debmarine Namibia Premiership. We now head over to our international sports news. Getting into our international sports news, starting off with some African news. Nigeria reached the Africa Cup of Nations final for the first time since 2013 after they beat 10-man South Africa 4-2 on penalties in the first semi-final at the Stade de la Piax on Wednesday night. The clash in Bauke finished 1-1 after extra time as the Super Eagles took the lead through William Trost Ekong's penalty in the 67th minute before Teboho Mokoena converted a late spot kick for Bafana Bafana in the 90th minute to keep their hopes alive. Moving on to our next story, Chelsea eased the spotlight on manager Mauricio Pochettino with a dominant 3-1 win at Aston Villa to reach the FA Cup 5th round on Wednesday. Conor Gallagher, Nicholas Jackson and Enzo Fernandez struck for the Blues at Villa Park to banish memories of a 4-2 home defeat to Wolves on Sunday. Chelsea were booed off by a disgruntled home support at the weekend as Wolves' rout followed a 4-1 thrashing at Liverpool a week ago. Moving on to our next story, any uncertainty that Springbok fans might have been feeling about the World Cup cycle that their team will head into in July in quest of an unprecedented third successive global title should have been swept away by Tuesday's announcement of Rassie Erasmus' management team. After the break, we'll be taking a look at our highlights.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahn.
Sy sê wie hy is aan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is
but just enough next.
Shh. Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
we kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
Let's take a look at the news highlights from today's broadcast. Zimbabwe's cabinet on Tuesday agreed to abolish the death penalty following months of debate in parliament, choosing instead to impose lengthy prison sentences for the worst offenses. Pakistan temporarily suspended mobile phone services across the country and closed some land borders to maintain law and order as voting began in a national election that has been preceded by a surge in militant violence. Orlando Pirates and Commerce Nampol FC are set to battle today at 7 p.m. as the Depmarine Namibia Premier League resumes at the Independent Stadium in Windhoek. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this lunchtime news broadcast. From me, Glenn Rashipura. Until next time.